Now, in February this year, while serving in Iraq, Major Phil Packer of the Royal Military Police was paralysed following a mortar attack. Despite spending several months in hospital recovering from his injuries, he's now launched a campaign to raise millions of pounds for other injured veterans, and he's aiming to complete more than 20 challenges, which are going to culminate with the London Marathon in April. It's a great honour to meet you, Major Phil. Thank you very much for coming to see us at Sky News. Tell us briefly what happened to you then in Iraq.
I was injured on the 19th of February. There was a rocket attack and an incident subsequent to that. It's caused me to be paralysed from the waist down, T12. I'm sensory and motor incomplete, so it's not as if things can't get better, but I'm at Headley Court now, where I'm receiving fantastic medical support to give me rehabilitation over the next sort of 2 years, where that's where the spinal injury window, where things can improve, hopefully will improve.
And born of your own experience now, you're trying to influence the lives of others. Tell us how you're going to do that.
I was sort of inspired by Bryn and Emma Parry, who are Help for Heroes. It's a very new charity, about a year old. They raise a lot of money so far, but I just want to do my bit. I want to support the charity. So mine isn't a charity in itself, it's to raise money for Help for Heroes. I'm just trying to enthuse people to challenge me and also to join me to do certain things to raise money. For example, there was a Help for Heroes rugby match in Twickenham that raised 1.4 million, but the swimming pool to support the injured servicemen will cost 6 million. So it does need a lot of support to assist people.
Obviously, when you become a soldier, you join the army, you know the risks are there. It's not going to be a surprise to you when injuries happen. Mm-hmm. But when you're thrown into a situation that you've experienced, how does it hit you, and how do you come from back? And what choices mentally do you have, emotionally do you have, as to how you go forward from your new life?
I knew that I and everyone who serves in the armed forces knows the risk that you have, and I wouldn't change a day. I love what I do, and I still continue to serve. I wouldn't change anything. And sometimes things happen for a reason, and I think you've got to draw on your own strengths and the strengths of family and friends, and obviously the armed forces with me as well, who support me to move on. We do what you expect. I think everyone's delighted. We are all delighted to serve in the armed forces. And when you go to Iraq or Afghanistan, and people do get injured, for me, I've started off as a private soldier and worked through, going to Sandhurst and then becoming an officer. And this is what I do. I spent 15 years doing this, and I want to give something back. I don't want to give up. And when you spoke about the emotional side of things, it is quite a difficult journey, but for anybody who has a disability. But the sort of life I led before, I cannot continue now, so I've got to find other things to do, and that's really what it's all about.
So what challenges have you set yourself then?
Quite a few.
Yes. Some of them sound a bit daft, actually. I mean, to be honest.
Well, yeah,
so far-fetched, Major Phil.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I wanted to complete the marathon. I met some great people when I was in Stanmore Hospital, the NHS hospital that looked after me on the spinal unit. And the London Marathon is one that I really want to complete. And the London Marathon have sort of spoken to me, and they've offered to give me a golden ticket to start on the 26th of April and take as long as it takes to complete the marathon. So I want to raise £1 million by then. But I do understand that people who want to give to a charity, they want to see that I'm trying to give something back to show that.
And you're trying to inspire other people who've been through injuries, perhaps not as serious as yours, perhaps more serious than yours as well. You're trying to be a leading light in that field, aren't you? How can people help you raise this £1 million that you're so desperate to raise?
Well, I've got a website that.
Go on, give it a plug.
Okay, it's www.philpacker.com.
Right.
And on the website, I'm basically asking people. I want them to challenge me. For example, a guy called Andy Kirkpatrick, who's one of the leading rock climbers in Great Britain, is going to take me to California in March, and we're going to climb El Capitan. It's 3,000 foot rock face, and we're going to spend 6 days living on the mountain.
How are you going to do that?
Well, Andy goes 50 foot up, and then I'm on a stretcher and I pull myself up. It's about
Wow.
4,000 pull-ups. And then a guy called Al Humphreys, who was the guy who ran the marathon with a rhino suit. Then he spent 4 years cycling around the world. Well, he said, let's row the channel. So we've got in touch with Ben Fogle and other people who've done these sort of things and said, this is where you go to get your boat, and we're just going to go and do it in February.
So you've been building your upper body strength, presumably, in preparation for that?
Well, it kind of comes naturally with pushing.
Does it?
These challenges are to open the door. So I don't know a lot about being in a wheelchair. In fact, not much at all. But there's a lot of different injuries of the guys in Headley Court, and that means that you need to do different sports for different people. You know, for example, I could try wheelchair basketball, but I couldn't do wheelchair rugby. But someone with a higher spinal injury could do wheelchair rugby. But there are so many sports, and I'd like people to sort of say, right, you know, they've got an opportunity to challenge me. I'll go and do pretty much anything they want me to do. So if they want me to do the South Downs Way in a wheelchair, I'll do it, as long as it opens the door for other injured servicemen to get the opportunity to do that.
I expect you're a tremendous inspiration to all those at Headley Court. I expect they're all watching you right now.
I think they are to me, actually.
Are they?
Yeah. And I've got an armband for you, which is the Help for Heroes.
Thank you very
armband.
much.
So,
Thank you.
And good luck with your fourth.
Yes, I'm
baby.
I'm in a situation too. It's my last day today. It's wonderful to talk to you.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
Major Phil. Great
Thanks
to
very
meet you
much.
too. And don't forget that website, will you? Let's just give it to you again. www.philpacker.com, the place to go if you'd like to support Phil in his endeavours over the coming months. Now, these days, he's best known as an evil sheriff of Nottingham, but Keith Allen is branching out. He's making his West End stage debut in a new production of Treasure Island. Our entertainment correspondent Matt Smith has been to meet him.